Hi Nydia, I'm going to go ahead and reflect upon the lesson that I went ahead and taught today. But due to the beginning of the school year and not being able to acquire proper permission to video the students, I could not actually videotape the lesson delivery. However, I am able to record myself, and I will go ahead and outline the required elements of the video portion for the benchmark. So let me go ahead and get going. So I taught a 4th grade lesson on place value, and we talked about rounding numbers to the nearest thousand. The lesson focus was that students were going to engage in rounding activities to solidify their understanding to estimate the position of numbers less than 10,000 on the number line, and to practice rounding and to make connections between rounding and then the location on the number line. My classroom makeup, I have 29 4th graders, 18 were males, 11 female, 23 white students, 5 are Hispanic. Here at Highland Arts, 52% of our students are free reduced lunch. Most of my students do speak English. There are some that are English is a second language. I do have 3 students on IEPs for speech, and then I also have a kiddo on a 504 plan due to health concerns. So our standard was for NBT A3, which is use place value understanding to round multi-digit whole numbers to any place. The objective was the students will accurately round multi-digit numbers to the thousands place using the vertical number line. And during, and I'll get to this part, but during our anticipatory set, I usually like to have the objective written as a class, so that way the kids know what the outcome of the lesson is. So, getting right into that anticipatory set, we started with activating that prior knowledge. And so during that time, I put up problems on the board, and the kiddos used whiteboards, and we practiced identifying our place value chart. And then we were practicing just changing numbers in different place values to get different value of numbers. The kiddos worked on it individually, and then they had time to talk with a shoulder partner and share their answers to see if they were on the same page, talk about their strategies that they used, and then we would check the answers as a class. So we went ahead and did a few problems like that, and then we also, I put up some number sequences, and I wanted to see if the students could identify the counting patterns and where the numbers had changed, and they also did that on whiteboards as well as with a new shoulder partner, so that way they're talking with other kiddos. Then we moved into our anticipatory set. My kiddos love videos, so we watched a Brain Pop video on rounding. And then, and in that video, a lot of the academic vocabulary came out. So I assigned small group, collaborative groups, a vocabulary word, and each group came up with a poster that would best describe this word. And so they created their posters. Each kiddo used different colors. That way I know all students are participating. And then the kiddos shared their posters to teach their friends about the vocabulary words that go along with the lesson. And then finally we talked about the objective and developed our objective and wrote it on the whiteboard. That way we know what is our job and what is the outcome of this lesson. What am I supposed to know? Once we got through the video and the vocabulary, we kind of went into the meat of the lesson to bring in that technology, which the kiddos love. I did a Nearpod presentation, and in that Nearpod presentation it talked about our place value, our rounding to the nearest thousands, and then we were able to do some interactive practices through the Nearpod presentation. There was true and false questions, there was short answer where kids could type things in, there was ones where they could actually draw their answer. So the kids were engaged, they were having fun, they enjoyed using the devices, and then I get a quick, the data shows up quickly for me, so then I'm able to look at the data and see who's got it, who doesn't, where am I going, do we need to review more, can we move on, which is great. So kind of monitor and adjust as we go. So we were able to do lots of practices through, like I said, the Nearpod, and then because our student devices were up, and according to my survey, the kiddos love math games, and they say that it really helps them learn. So I found a rounding game on ABCya, so I gave them time to play that. And then after the game time, we went into our interactive notebooks and we made a rounding roller coaster. That way they know what numbers do I need and I round down, what numbers do I look for to round up. And it just kind of is a clear way of seeing how we're rounding numbers to the nearest thousands, and not only just a number line, but the roller coaster is also a great visual for helping them as well. As far as assessments during the lesson, I do a lot of formative assessments as I'm teaching the lesson. I'm monitoring student responses, I'm monitoring the room, I'm collecting data through the Nearpod presentation. I also have a checklist of kiddos' names, and I just quickly journal or quick write of if there's any concerns or problems where I think, whoa, maybe I need to pull so-and-so to do a reteach. Or our kiddos on the opposite end, are they done? They have this. What else can I do to give them more? The summative assessment was an exit ticket that the kiddos would work on, and it's just using that vertical number line to help show how to round to the nearest thousand. And then they also had the job of reflecting in their interactive journal. I gave them the choice, so for some differentiation, so they have some ownership of their reflection, and they were able to write words, sentences, draw pictures, make a concept map of what they took away from the lesson. What was the big ideas? What were the ahas? What's going to help them remember rounding to the nearest thousands? And then I also added in another way of reflecting, which Flipgrid, since they have their student devices. So I figured if they wanted to do a video Flipgrid, they could do that as well. And then they presented to their groups, their small groups, so they can share. Not only are they reflecting with their writing it down, but then they're going to talk it out with their friends. So hopefully that their strategies will stick. Extension activities, I found the roll it game there. They roll the dice, and then they roll 3 dice or 4 dice, and then they have to round to the nearest thousand. There was also other games with rounding on Prodigy as well as IXL.com, or they could also go back to ABC. So different ways of working in my classroom or during the lesson. The kiddos had an opportunity to work in collaborative learning groups, small groups, work with each other. Lots of conversation with shoulder partners and neighbors, as well as whole group. A lot of debriefing, and I forgot to say that at the end of our whole group session. Not only did after the Nearpod and after the game time on ABC, we had a debrief and kind of had a nice share out of things we noticed through the lesson as well, and before they're showing what they know on that exit ticket, as well as the reflection within their interactive journal or electronically through Flipgrid. As I went through the lesson overall, it felt like it went pretty well. Most kiddos were engaged, having fun. I think having that expectation of using the different colors on the posters really helped, because the kids knew I was holding them accountable, and if their color was missing, I would know that they weren't participating. Devices went pretty well. There were some kiddos that were getting off track or not staying with me or not focusing as much on the quizzes, or it took reminders to get back on track. And then as well as the game, I had a few friends that decided they didn't want to do the ABC rounding game, and they were playing other games on ABC. So making sure you're setting that expectation of, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what I expect to see, and not exploring on other games, especially when we're talking about rounding. Engagement seemed good. Normal 4th grade behavior, every now and then just reminders of getting them back on track. I tried using rock tickets, positive reinforcement, when I did see kiddos doing well. But overall, I say the lesson was successful, and adding in the technology and use of devices, videos, things like that, I think that really helped, because that's what the data showed me. That's what their questionnaire showed me. They like the use of technology. So, thanks so much.